Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to roll up our sleeves and unpack the actual physical mechanics behind the world's most common chronic diseases. We hear terms like stroke, cancer, and type 2 diabetes tossed around all the time, right? Well, today, we're looking under the hood. We're going to reveal exactly how these physiological breakdowns actually happen, and honestly, much more importantly, how much control you actually have over preventing them. Right off the bat, 70%. Just let that sink in for a second. That is a truly staggering number. Chronic diseases account for roughly 7 out of every 10 deaths globally. Now, the traditional, kind of old school view might make you feel like a sitting duck, just waiting around to see if bad genetics will strike. But the data tells a completely different story. This massive percentage is largely driven by just a few shared modifiable behaviors. We're talking about poor diet, physical inactivity, tobacco use, and excessive alcohol. So what does this all mean? Well, it demands a massive paradigm shift. We absolutely have to move away from viewing these major diseases as just inevitable consequences of aging or, just bad luck. Instead, the science requires us to see them for what they really are, highly preventable conditions. Think about it. All causes of mortality could be cut by more than half, literally, just by changing daily lifestyle habits. That is huge. To make sense of all this, we'll structure our journey today into 4 main parts. 1, the common thread. 2, the vascular breakdown. 3, the cellular rebellion. And 4, the lifestyle medicine prescription. Okay, part 2, the vascular breakdown, covering hypertension, stroke, and coronary heart disease. Let's start with our cardiovascular system. Think of this system as the body's plumbing. When things go wrong here, mechanical stress and blockages lead to some of the most catastrophic health events a human can experience. And the silent driver of so much of this trauma? Hypertension, or high blood pressure. Now, this isn't just a random number on your doctor's chart. It's persistent mechanical shear stress. Imagine water being blasted at high pressure through a really fragile garden hose. Over time, this chronically elevated pressure literally pounds the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels. They thicken, they lose elasticity, and they become incredibly vulnerable to damage. If that pressure is left unchecked, here's exactly how a healthy brain ends up suffering a hemorrhagic stroke. It starts with that chronic hypertension, which progressively weakens the small arteries deep inside the brain, a process called lipohyalinosis. Because of this structural weakness, these tiny, incredibly fragile balloons start to form. And eventually, during a moment of stress or physical exertion, one of these unstable microscopic balloons bursts. Blood leaks right into the brain tissue, and suddenly you have a life-threatening hemorrhagic stroke. Uncontrolled blood pressure is the single strongest driver for a whopping 70 to 80% of these cases. Now, down in the heart, vascular breakdown looks a little bit different. It's more of a gradual clogging process called atherosclerosis. When that vascular lining is damaged by hypertension or, say, smoking, excess LDL cholesterol infiltrates the walls. Your body's macrophages try to clean it up, but eventually a hard, fibrous plaque develops. This physically narrows the coronary arteries. If that plaque ruptures, a clot forms, triggering a heart attack. But here is the critical connection to another major disease, type 2 diabetes. When your body becomes resistant to insulin, chronic high blood sugar creates this highly toxic, inflamed environment that aggressively accelerates this exact vascular damage everywhere in the body. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. So the crucial point we really need to drive home here is the weighting of these risk factors. Yes, non-modifiable factors like advanced age and being male definitely play a role, but the heavy hitters, the ones driving the real destruction, they're entirely up to us. Dyslipidemia, which is abnormal cholesterol, is the #1 contributor. Tobacco smoking is a close second. Hypertension is third. Fixing abnormal cholesterol, quitting smoking, lowering blood pressure, and managing insulin resistance to treat type 2 diabetes, doing those things has a massive, massive impact on your risk. It far, far outweighs genetics. Let's move on to part 3, the cellular rebellion, specifically looking at lung cancer and breast cancer. We're shifting gears here from the mechanical failure of blood vessels to the biological failure of our DNA. Normally, your cells follow a really strict, orderly cycle of growth and programmed death. But carcinogenesis happens when permanent DNA mutations completely alter those instructions. Essentially, the toxins we're exposed to overwhelm the body's natural repair mechanics. They mutate what are called tumor suppressor genes, which are essentially the cell's brakes, and they mutate oncogenes, which basically jams the cellular gas pedal right to the floor. The result? Runaway, completely uncontrolled cell division. And nowhere is this environmental trigger more obvious than with lung cancer.
It actually took a fascinating, decades-long scientific journey to prove that cigarette smoking is the absolute heaviest risk factor here. From animal studies way back in 1931 all the way to the definitive 1964 Surgeon General's report, the science slowly but definitively proved that inhaling combustion toxins directly breaks those cellular brakes in your lung tissue. That one behavior drives up to 90% of all lung cancer cases. In breast cancer, we see a really similar progressive cellular rebellion. It starts from normal tissue, sure, but if genetic damage occurs, cells begin to divide uncontrollably. This can progress to carcinoma in situ, where the cancerous cells are actually still trapped inside the milk duct. That's stage 0. But if the rebellion continues, the cells gain the really dangerous ability to break out and invade the surrounding normal tissues, officially becoming invasive cancer. Oh, and a quick surprising fact. While almost 99% of cases are in women, men actually have breast tissue too and can absolutely develop this disease, especially if they carry certain genetic mutations.
Much like heart disease, we really have to look at the risk weighting. Being female, advancing age, and having BRCA gene mutations are the absolute strongest non-modifiable risks for breast cancer. But the reality is actually pretty empowering. Managing your alcohol consumption, maintaining a healthy weight, since fat tissue becomes a major source of estrogen after menopause, and staying physically active, those things significantly blunt your overall risk. You have more power here than you might think.
Which brings us perfectly to part 4, the lifestyle medicine prescription, treating the root causes. This is where we get to the major revelation.
Instead of treating hypertension, stroke, lung cancer, breast cancer, and type 2 diabetes in totally isolated silos, let's explore how lifestyle medicine attacks the shared root causes of all of them simultaneously. We can basically matrix this ultimate lifestyle prescription into 3 distinct, highly actionable pillars that you can apply to your daily life today. This isn't just fluffy general advice. This is a clinical intervention designed to literally remodel your vascular and cellular health. Let's break these pillars down.
For pillar 1, cardioprotective nutrition is all about using your fork as medicine. We're looking at a whole food, plant-forward, Mediterranean-hybrid diet. You absolutely need high fiber, at least 35 grams a day, to actively bind cholesterol in your gut and literally carry it right out of your body. You also want strict limits on sodium, capped at about 1,500 milligrams a day, and very low saturated fat. Why? To protect those incredibly delicate inner linings in your blood vessels that we talked about earlier. Now for pillar 2, exercise. Listen, this isn't just about weight loss. It is a targeted biological therapy. We're aiming for 150 minutes a week of zone 2 conditioning. This actually stimulates vascular remodeling and increases your capillary density. And perhaps most importantly, twice-weekly resistance training. This part is absolutely critical for treating and preventing type 2 diabetes. Building muscle actively pulls sugar right out of your bloodstream and into your cells, which radically improves your body's insulin sensitivity. Finally, pillar 3 tackles the mind-body connection. Chronic stress keeps your blood pressure running high and keeps your immune system totally suppressed. We combat this using specific neurocardiac techniques, things like resonant frequency breathing, which just means slowing your breathing down to about 5.5 to 6 breaths per minute. Doing this maximizes your vagal nerve stimulation. Pairing that with progressive muscle relaxation actually lowers your nocturnal stress hormones, which ensures healthy blood pressure regulation while you're sleeping. We have covered a ton of ground today, right? From the mechanical bursting vessels in a stroke to the genetic rebellions causing cancer and the metabolic breakdown of diabetes. I want to leave you with this final, incredibly powerful thought. While medical management addresses the immediate crisis, non-medical management ensures long-term recovery, dignity, and independence. Medicine and surgery can absolutely save your life in an emergency, but how you choose to live your life every single day, that dictates your true long-term health. The science is incredibly clear. The pen is in your hand. So, which prescription are you going to write for yourself today?